Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you're tuning in from. This is BS Buddies Podcast. That's your host, Ian. I'm your host, Joe, and we're bringing back one of our old favorites for a part 2. We are going to bring new technology back in time.
To the past. We are quite literally bringing an old video into the present to bring modern technology into the past. Ha! Really get you thinking on that one. I know there's a lot of word salad in there. Don't think about it too much. Don't want anyone out there to hurt themselves.
Don't worry, we will guide you, and it'll be pretty simple once we get going on what we're doing.
We're not going to bring up atomic bombs again. Don't worry, we've already passed that. We might, but we'll feel it out. We'll see how it goes.
Just so atomic people can get mad at Ian again.
Atomic bombs made out of gunpowder. Or excuse me, snaps. Made out of those little snaps. You know the things you get 4th of July? Yeah, snaps.
Would you like to go first?
Sure. I will bring this out. Now, okay. A lot of these, some of these are goofy and silly, but then some of these are like a genuinely, honestly curious from my perspective. So like ancient Rome, right? Just to set the scene for everyone here. Ancient Rome, everyone knows Rome had a lot of cool innovations, and the whole Library of Alexandria burning, and lost technology and fancy concrete, whatever. Not thinking about any of that. I would bring modern power tools back to ancient Rome and just be like, look at these tools, right? Like instead of having to heat up lead and then cast it into a pipe, now you can do like look at this machine, just presses it for you, and even hand tools too. Like I want to see what they would be able to build if they had things like jackhammers and concrete mixers and like
you're talking like a whole construction site. Tools.
Something
not
like that.
Just like drills and sockets.
Not just
You're talking about like a whole industrial.
Kind of something like that. It wouldn't have to be anything crazy. It would just be like, I would want to see, because I mean, you got to think even if we gave them a backhoe, that's still miles ahead of anything that they had. Like, dude, if they had a backhoe that could be able to like dig the ditches for them to make aqueducts, they probably could have had way more aqueducts. You know what I'm saying? Like they figured out how to do mining by just pushing water through holes in a mountain. Like it was some wild stuff, man. So I would just want to see, like, I'm not going to give them like a whole industrial revolution's worth of materials and machines to work with, but if you had like a construction site and here's some tools, go to town, see what you can build. I want to see what they'd be able to come up with, because they were pretty darn good at building, and that was just with like hand tools and making people work until they drop. So if you didn't have to work yourself to death, literally, what would they be able to build? You know what I mean? It would be a very curious thing for me to see. And then we'd still be safe here in the future because the Library of Alexandria would still burn. So then, we'd lose all that knowledge, and all them fancy tools they had would get burnt to a crisp with it. And yeah, and then the historical records, we'd be fine. I wouldn't have the butterfly effect happening too much, until some scientist one day digs up, what is this, the edge of a Komatsu bulldozer? Carbon dating says this thing's like 2,000 years old. What in the... just...
Nothing like confusing future generations.
It's my favorite thing to do. Confusing future historians, which is the main goal of most of these. At least of mine. I can't speak for Joe. At least mine.
Well, we're gonna bring it to a newer time than Ian's. We're gonna go to 16th century France. For not a lot of reasoning behind this one.
Just specifically the French, because I feel like the French.
For some reason, I'm giving them one of those industrial wood chippers.
The French are getting you just made every French Revolution a way more screwed up mess than at least with the guillotine, you could claim to have
That
some degree of technical efficiency. Just
I thought of the guillotine, and then I can't really say my afterthought because then this video will be flagged and I'll be put on a list. But
Joe looked at the guillotine and thought, how can we make that a lot more horrifying and messy? So let me pick the country that is the best at doing revolutions and taking its nobility and giving them the old wood chipper treatment.
Yep. Not quite what I mean, but sure.
Robespierre, yeah, he's scattered all over in that field over there, dude. You can go walk through him. If you look really close, they say the petals of the flowers still have his bloodstains on them, and if you listen to the wind, you can hear his screams. I don't want to do a history class anymore. Just
let's move on.
That's no fun, Joe. We're taking this down the dark route. You're the one who brought the wood chipper
I did,
back
but
in
I
the
stopped
16th
myself
century.
before saying anything further.
Oh no, we're fine. We're fine. We haven't said anything bad yet. This is all for jokes. This is all jokes. I don't know if my next one makes it any better, because I would bring back a battleship. Stop! You didn't even let me get. You didn't even let me get.
Doesn't matter who gets it. Like, they're just gonna be the world's superpower.
I would bring a battleship back to like the 1700s, right? Because I'm just imagining like the American Revolution, and the British are sitting there going, "Oh, we will squash this rebellion. We've got the biggest navy in the world. They're on their way here right now." And all the colonists are sitting there going, "Oh my God, whatever will we do? Look at all those wooden boats." And then you hear from like the other end of the bay, and what was that sound? And there you've got like 16-inch guns firing massive shells, and in like one salvo, bloop, 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 bloop. Look at all the boats out there sinking beneath the waves. Like, it would just be
so America's getting the battleship.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Just
keeping our
making sure.
battleship. I'm not giving it to anybody else. Are you nuts? These are our battleships. You go build your own. I'm pulling the USS Missouri out of retirement, baby. We're gonna grease up some of them joints, load her up with some fuel, get her out there on the water, and go to town. You wouldn't even. That's the scary thing, is it would be one ship, one battleship would just dominate over everything. It doesn't matter how big your navy is. None of your fire the heavy guns, and you just watch your cannonballs go dink, 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 just fall off the side of that thing. You go, well, we're screwed. Put up the white flag now. We're done for. I would love to see that, honestly. Just bring a battleship back, or a submarine. Submarine is arguably be more terrifying.
Why are we being shot from underneath?
I look at that fish in the water. Isn't that a strange bubble trail behind it? Why is it heading for our ship? God. My headphones. My headphones are representative of the sailor's hat there when the torpedo hit. Here's a real question. Do you think a torpedo would actually detonate on impact, or if like the fuse was like too solid, would it just punch a hole straight through the ship and keep going? Because technically them things are designed to detonate against a steel hull. So if you've got like an old rotted out wood hull, keeps on trucking. There it goes.
You were in the armed forces. I was not, so you know how they work better than I do.
I don't know how they work at all. I've never seen it in my life. I've never even seen a submarine. I think, yeah, battleship or submarine back to like the 1700s, just because you dominate the seas for the next century at the very least. At the very least.
So, my next one, there's not a whole lot of thought put into why. but we're going to go to Japan in the 1850s and we're going to give them super soakers.
Go back to feudal Japan and they get super soakers. And that's what they fight all their wars with now. They got all their samurai swords and all that taken away from them, so now they get super soakers and they just come up with terrible chemical concoctions to put in them and fire at each other.
Yeah, that's probably not the best idea. It's just like they come up
No,
with this giant water cannon like 75 years later.
you gotta like pull this lever down. And it's just like a high pressure hose that just obliterates whatever it's touching, whatever it hits. I want a hole in that building. It's like a giant water jet just gone. The building is gone.
Just masters of water.
It's not a hole. Well, I mean, they're an island country, so it would make a lot of sense on it.
That's why I thought of it. Just give them more water.
You know what? Knowing Japan, I feel like Japan would probably come up for like a agricultural use for it, right? Just knowing like the rice farming and the way they do things over there, Japan would be the country that would look at this super soaker and be like, I bet we can come up with some sort of farming application for this. I don't know what they'd use it for specifically. Like, I don't know, maybe they get bugs that go after the rice fields over there, so they fill it with like pesticide, and they're just, you got farmers out there just going to town against the bugs. Reload me, give me another one.
They'd probably be one of the most thriving countries then. So it's like, hey, we don't have to worry about our crops going bad. We got super soakers.
Yeah, I mean, really, realistically, that'd be a great way and especially to water crops that you can't get irrigation to. Be genius. They'd have game shows designed around super soakers and traditionalist history and art and architecture.
A shrine to super soakers.
A shrine to the first super soaker. You can see the words Mattel inscribed on the side. Or Hasbro or whoever it is who made them stupid things. Praise the great Mattel Super Soaker.
Mattel.
You have to leave a water balloon offering at the shrine. Otherwise, you'll get bad crops for the year.
You get baptized there.
You have to be cleansed before you can enter the shrine, and you walk through this tunnel and you just get like sprayed with these little super soaker statues that are like lined up, and it's everything over there becomes super soaker themed. It takes over the country and culture. Showers? No, super soaker.
What's the next on your list?
The next on my list is a camera. Now, I can't decide. Digital camera is nice, but I think I would maybe take a film camera back to, I'd just say medieval times, anytime in medieval time, honestly. And the camera, and then at least the necessary components to be able to process the film and turn it into, a picture for whatever reason, just to blow their minds about the idea of like, oh yeah, here, let me stand over there. I captured your soul, sucker. Run away. But just to develop out the picture and be like, look, you don't have to sit here now and hire this shitty painter to paint you for the next several hours, and you have to sit still and hold some sort of regal, weird looking pose while the guy's sitting there doing his little yeah, paint it up. Oh, cool. It looks like shit. No. Now I can just take a picture of you so you can clearly see how horrific you look since you haven't bathed in the last 4 weeks. That's what I would do. I'd bring a camera back to medieval times.
So nice to people from the past.
Very nice to people from the past. I feel like a camera would just be, once again, this is one of those things that like there's no goofy thought behind it. I would just love to be able to show people like, look, if I press this little button right here and I come over here and I put this little strip of film in there and I do the thing and spray it down, wash it, spit on it, wave it in the air, pick it up, picture. just to be like, look, you can see, like you're looking at it in real time. I want to know what they would think of that, how they would react to being able to have a moment in time captured before them. Which, if we're being honest, yeah, they would probably scream witch, and then I'd be burned at the stake. But it'd be really
Hey,
cool.
we're getting there. Don't worry, I got one for that. Not yet.
That was a call ahead, Joe. I was trying to be sneaky. You ruined my Easter egg.
I'd say, well, that's my next one, but I'm going to go in the order I came up with these. So my next one, this is probably the dumbest one that we have because it's so plain. We're going to go to 1400 Spain because I want to see Christopher Columbus play Mousetrap. I just want him to lose his mind over playing Mousetrap.
Well, I mean, he was already probably smoking crack when he wanted to, sail backwards around the world. So he'd probably think that would be amazing. The Americas never would have been discovered if Christopher Columbus had gotten Mousetrap. He'd be too enthralled. Come on, go through the little thing, do the thing, and then he would go to the Queen of Spain and be like, "Hey, can you give me money to fund my Mousetrap addiction?" And then they'd be like, "What?" He'd be like, "Let me show you. Let me show you. I'll go. You gotta watch. Look at. You see? He goes to the little thing, and then the cup falls, and it traps him."
Should have maybe put it a little later for just entertainment for the Black Plague. But thinking about
play
it
this
more,
game called Mousetrap. Yeah, watch this. You got to capture the mouse, or you caught the plague and died. There'd probably be some weird, creepy nursery rhyme that came from that then in the modern day age, like the old Ring Around the Rosie.
Yep.
How that's about the Black Plague. You'd probably get some sort of weird, screwed up nursery rhyme about Mousetrap. Run the gauntlet, don't get caught, or you catch the Black Plague and die. The end. Uh-oh, your mouse got through. Looks like someone got bitten.
Nursery rhyme doesn't rhyme at all. Just like, yeah, you're gonna die.
You're dying. You're dead. And then there'd be some sort of religious uproar about it because the church would be like, Mousetrap is satanic. That is the reason the Black Plague is punishing us. You are playing with the forces of good and evil, and it's just children holding a little plastic mouse and a little board game with little Rube Goldberg style machines going, are you sure? Because, I mean, it just seems like a game. Evil! Something. Like, I can already picture it. They would turn it into some sort of black magic witchcraft nonsensory. Joe, arguably your inventions are doing way more harm than mine. I'm just like, hey, I want to bring a battleship back because they'd sink one boat and then everyone in the world would know not to mess with that.
Hey, I'm going to get the church involved.
Joe's like, how can I destroy the socioeconomic policies and relationships of Spain in the 1600s?
1400s.
1400. How can I absolutely make sure France has the most violent and gory revolutions?
It's not getting better from here. My next one is the worst one.
The best one you've had has been the super soakers in Japan because that one just led to the farming.
Mine are either I'm going to like build relationships with said people, or I'm going to destroy everything.
I'm going to destroy society and the economy as we know it. Going to absolutely tank everyone's faith. The dark ages are upon us. No one will survive. Well, see, here's my next one. This one would be so stupid. So, laser pointers. The big ones. The class 3Cs. The ones
the military grade ones like my fiance has.
The ones that are illegal to own, at least in the United States, because they're so powerful. The kind that, like if you hold it on a piece of paper for 5 seconds, it'll start the piece of paper on fire. I would want to... I don't even know particularly when in history. Like, once again, anywhere within the medieval times, but specifically, I would give it to people who run lighthouses. Because once again, going back to the water, you imagine this: you're a ship out on the nighttime, and you're just trying to make it into the rocks, and you're like, "Oh my God, where are we going? Oh, a lighthouse! Thank God we can make it!" And then you just see this little beam of green light shining on your sail, and you're like, "What the fuck is that?" And then your sail starts on fire.
Well, Ian is destroying all shipping routes.
100%. I'd just be like, "Hey, you want to see something really cool? You know how you could really freak, or like go to like a king in like a castle? Just be like, listen here, king. You really want to freak your enemies out? You want to make them think you have an ultimate weapon? Just watch this. You get within 3 miles of that castle, and just hold it there. Just let it there and start moving it around. Wait until people notice it, and then they'll start freaking out. Oh my, the green line! Just to really wreak havoc with such a simple toy. As like,
And mine
don't
is
shine.
witchcraft. Mousetrap is witchcraft.
And then if you really wanted to be evil, you could be like, "Hey, king, you know, if you've got people you want to torture, don't shine this in their eyes." Just saying.
I think you'd have to start off with that, because I could definitely see the king taking it from you and just immediately staring into it.
What is this? Oh, how come I can only see out of one eye? What was in that? Oh! Hey, how come I can't see? I'm just gonna take that back. Yeah, don't do that. That's not good. How do you fix this? You don't fix that. You're blind for the rest of your life. You didn't let me finish explaining what it was. I feel like the tomfoolery that could be had with a laser pointer at any point in history past would be astronomical, even if it wasn't the big bad kind.
There's a time to say the worst one.
Yes.
We're specifically going back to Salem, Massachusetts in 1690s during the witch trials, which I brought up to Ian doing something like this. But I didn't tell you what I was bringing.
All right. What's it gonna be? What do we got? I'm worried.
We're bringing a Furby.
Now you are definitely going to make sure that Salem goes down as the most haunted town. Just Furbies. Just, are we bringing one Furby? Or we're gonna fill the whole town with Furbies. Because if you really wanted to be evil, you could do it like, "Oh, I'm gonna fill the whole town with Furbies overnight," and then when everyone walks out in the morning, all the Furbies will be talking to each other, and that'll really freak them out.
Debbie brought up that you can play red light, green light with them. So
you can? I did not know that.
So you just set one up in the woods. Just start that.
Put a little walkie-talkie next to it. Green light. And then don't they have the Furbies that can like waddle or walk, or do they
I'm
just
sure.
like talk?
They're creepy.
If they got, you just whisper green light and then have the little thing come walking out of the forest. Behold, I have created artificial life. And then you would definitely get strung up and burned at the stake for witchcraft. 100%.
Well, then you just pull out another Furby, like the little tiny ones, and just...
Stay back. Stay back. I know how to use him. I will use him if I have to. The Furby sitting there, dude. You'd scare the crap out of so many people. I don't think I'd be able to hold it together if I was threatening a bunch of townspeople with Furbies, knowing full well that death was on the line if they caught me.
I looked on eBay because Debbie was asking for a Furby, like one that doesn't talk, just like the plushy one. And you on eBay, you can buy a satanic Furby for like $200.
What is satanic?
Don't look up Furbies on eBay because there's some very disturbing ones.
Isn't that just a Furby? It's satanic, not necessary. It's already
it's
creepy enough as it is.
Yeah, it's black and it has a pentagram on the stomach. Like,
why would anyone want that? Furbies are creepy enough as it is. Why would any of you want that?
Well, someone wants $220 for it.
You don't need to add extra creepiness to it. It will be creepy enough as it is.
Yep.
Oh my god. All right. Well, actually, you know what? I just thought of this. I'm going to scrap my last idea and I'm going to join you in Salem there, Joe. But you know what I'm going to bring back with me? I'm going to bring back the orb from Las Vegas. The orb. And I put my face on there like those memes. Halt, citizen. The orb has detected that you have not participated in Sunday worship. You must be punished. And just watch everyone get him and just like swarm him.
I will be releasing the Furbies. Just me
Citizens,
in the
if you do not
woods.
comply, I will release the Furbies. And then just have like a catapult loaded with them. And if they doubt you, just yank the string and fling the Furbies from the woods, raining them down onto the town. It'd be mass hysteria.
On top
You
of
have
mass hysteria.
You have incurred the wrath of the orb. You will suffer for your crimes. Hey, what are you doing? Get away from that cord. Don't unplug that. And then the whole thing goes down. Oh my god. The orb. 100% too. If I could bring back the orb to any time period, I would. Dude, having that giant stupid thing anywhere just how can I convince all the citizens of a given land that I am basically a god and they must worship me? I know, a giant ball of lights that I can stick my face on and talk to them from.
And there's no light pollution at
No.
all. And just you put that in, it's like, why can I see at night?
the neighboring village, you gotta think like, okay, here's the orb, then there's like a little hill or tiny mountain range or whatever, just enough to block the view of the orb, and then you got like the next town over is like 10 miles away, and they're all sitting there one night. Wait, what's that big light on the horizon? And then you just hear this faint, I am the orb. What the f is that?
But that was your last one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go with that one for my last one.
Mine is another one where I just feel like it would be fun to watch and probably create a new culture around this group of people. We're going to go around 900 and we're going to give this to the Vikings. We're going to give them warhead candies. Because
They would hate you.
I could imagine instead of like fist fighting to see who's the toughest, it's like they put a warhead in their mouth and then the next guy does. And then it's like 2 warheads, 2.
How many warheads can you consume? And they just you'd create a group of people who would basically become like not immune, but for lack of a better word, they become immune to sour, to citric acid. They'd be able to just eat like spoonfuls of citric acid. That's eventually what would happen through the process of evolution. And just any and all conflicts, you have to sit down at the table. How many warheads can you eat? 1, 2, 3. It turns into like a drinking game, but you just got to keep putting warheads until somebody taps out or their tongue starts bleeding or something. I don't know.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like it shouldn't ruin anything, but it should just make them even more tough. Just like they find a neighboring land they want to conquer, and it's just like, you bring us your strongest warrior, and he's got a sword, and then he just pulls out a bag. And it's
he's like, eat this. And what? Eat this. Sounds easy enough. And then immediately starts crying. You
just retreats the whole army.
I feel like if you could get them to do that, it would work very well. But I feel like that would be a really tough sell to get them to try it the first time, because you'd have to be sitting there with the candy and you have to be like, okay, listen to me. This is candy. This is sweets. This is a treat. But it's sour. What do you mean it's sour? It hasn't gone bad, but when you put this in your mouth, I need you to not immediately spit it out and or hate me and or have me beheaded. I promise you it's worth it. Because the second they taste something like that, they're going to go, "Ugh, it's bad," and then come after you for it.
Yeah,
So it'd be a tough sell, but if you could make that sell, you could get them to go in on that, then you'd be set. And you'd
like
be in the money.
all you would have to do is like prep yourself to like take like you work your way up to like 10 and then you're good and then you go back in time and then you take it, eat it, and they see you're fine and then they want to try one and then they react and then before they can attack you, you take 2 and put those in. And it's like, "Oh, it's a challenge."
Go for the impressive route. All right, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. You got to impress them. You got to make them think you're tough. All right, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm puckering on what you're throwing at me.
But with that, we should probably do quotes since we haven't the past few episodes, I don't think.
That's fair, I suppose. I suppose we can give the people a quote. Don't you know? We've been doing really good, Joe. We haven't talked about the weather in several episodes now.
Good. As soon as it turns to winter.
We could change that right now.
Google did not. I put Viking quotes and it changed it to biking quotes. Please don't. Ooh, there's some good ones. Better a brief spell of honor than a long rule of shame.
That's a good one. I was trying to find a good quote to. I'm not gonna say who this quote's by, because it's a good quote, but I don't want to ruin it. Don't fight a battle if you don't gain anything by winning.
I've heard that before.
I was thinking of the Vikings, and I was like, I need to have a good, strong fighting quote. So, what do I gain by bringing these warheads back in time? I gain the respect of the Vikings who watched me eat an extremely sour candy and was a-okay.
Isn't that quote by like Hitler or Stalin?
No, it's by Erwin Rommel, who was the general of the German army in North Africa.
Okay. With that, thank you for BSing with us today. Subscribe to become a bud today if you'd like us to bring more stuff back to the past. We'd love to. And we'll see you next time after Ian and I put a bunch of candy in our mouths and try and see who's the toughest Viking.
Yeah. I'm going to lose. I don't do well with sour. I'll get one of those little push pop sour drop things and I'll just do the squirt, the sour. Yeah. Words. Take her easy.